everyone, hope you're all doing well. Thank you so much for joining in today. I am Aditya. I'm one of the coaches here from India, and I'm really happy to be here with all of you. So, I see we've got a few folks here already. Always lovely to have you folks over. Um, yeah, so I guess this is probably a bittersweet stream because I think this is one of the last streams of local hack day build, if I'm not wrong. Let me just check. I think, as per the schedule, this is the last one before the closing ceremony, from what I see. Eesh. Yeah, I mean, I think we've had fun throughout this entire last week. We've had a variety of different activities, uh, different concepts we've learned. We've built some fun projects. There's a lot that's happened over this week, right? So, yeah. We're gonna close local hack day by just maybe talking, discussing, learning about a classic programming concept, a concept that's gonna help you build so much, as we go forward in your developer journeys, and that concept is sorting. So we're gonna talk about sorting today. Before we start, I think there are a few different things we want to discuss that I want to talk about, just as we begin. And those are mostly related to registering and checking in. Make sure we've done that side of things. I'll tell you what, let me just shift my StreamYard to my second screen. All right. So that I can keep you folks here on my side while I work on my main device. So I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to share my screen once. And this is mainly so that I can share, how you can go about the registration process, all of that. Let me see. I hope I don't have something very random on my screen right now. Yeah. There we go. So first thing is to go ahead and make sure that you're registered on local active build. I'm assuming most of you have gone through this already, but if you haven't, you can go ahead, do that as soon as possible. I've sent in the link in the chat as well, so that's gonna get you started and at least registered for local active build. That's just to make sure that that's done in case you haven't already. Second thing, of course, is to make sure we've completed the day 7 check-in. That's the daily check-in we have. Yeah. So we've got a few different things happening, all of that. Make sure you go through these processes. And third, of course, last but not the least by any means, is to make sure you complete the check-in and registration for this specific event. I am going to send in this link as well. And then I look at the comments. I'm seeing there's a few different things happening in there. Let me go ahead and do that. So that's the last link we have for right now. All right. I hope you all go through this process. In case you've missed out on the registration for this specific event, you can also find the link in the Discord server. It will be there in the local hack day build announcements, so you can go check that out there as well. All right. And I'm going to take off my screen for a minute, just while I go through the different questions, all of that's come up, because I see there's a little buzz happening here in the chat. I see a lot of hello messages. Hi. This all question and challenges which are there in local actor. You can find all of those on the schedule if you want. I see there's a question around eligibility of swags. You can go to the Discord server, create a ticket, have a chat there, help you out. Nish asks if I'm using a green screen. Yes, I am. I am using a green screen. My background is not even close to this this clean and comfortable. Let me see. Yeah, it is. It is the last event of local hack day build, not the season. We've got our season left. There's gonna be local hack day share as well. So season isn't over. Just the week is over. Yeah, well, let's not hop ahead that far away. You can look at the week long challenges and sure, for your learning, go ahead. All the live streams are actually available. The recording should be there on Twitch. They're gonna be there on YouTube as well. So you can check them out there. Okay, I think those are all the relevant queries I see for now. So next, as I mentioned, this stream is all about tackling a classic computer science programming problem, and that is sorting, right? So in this session, what I'm going to be doing is I'm kind of going to go in a similar fashion as what I had a few days back in our reverse a text challenge. I'm going to start this one. I'm going to showcase two simple sorting methods first. The first is Paul sort. That's a sorting method I'm going to cover. The second method I'll cover is selection sort. Third, I am going to show something really interesting. Of course, two things with a language I like working with, that is C sharp. I'm going to look into two C sharp intricacies because that's the language I prefer. That's the one I'll work with. And after that, we will take inputs from the audience and try to sort in about five, six, seven different languages that I don't actively use. So we're going to go ahead on stream, work with documentation and do that. For that, if anyone wants to join me on, we can have that sort of thing as well. Uh, I see a few queries. Is there a dev post link for this? Not as far as I saw. So on the build, on the local active build main registration page, I think where all the links were given, I did not see a dev post link for day 7. So I do not think there is one. Atul asked for quick sort. We're not going to be jumping to that so fast. I feel bubble sort and selection sort are two simpler methods. So we're kind of going to go start with those. But that's how we're going to go ahead. All right. That should give a good start. Yeah. So once again, let me go ahead, take us to the right side because that's, just it just makes it working a little easier for me. Okay, I'm going to keep the chat up. So I'm going to keep an eye out. Let me bring my screen back once again. So as I said, once again, somewhere in the middle, probably, I'm going to be working with C sharp throughout this to work on my challenges just because I like working with C sharp. That being said, the first two sorting concepts we're going to discuss are concepts you can implement in any language you like. So if you want to work along in another language that you're comfortable with, feel free to do so. All right, shouldn't be a problem. You can go ahead, do that with whichever language you like. So I'm gonna go ahead, create a little console application was for myself. Okay. If you work with .NET like me, the command to do that is .NET new console. I know that just opens it and then this creates a new directory for us. I'm gonna write, just call this app as sorting, and I'm gonna select a target framework for myself. That's just because, well, I kind of want to work with .NET 5 for this particular session and not .NET 6. It keeps your structure a little more understandable rather than just keeping it full, like, making it very minimal. So I just gonna target .NET 5 for this one. We're gonna enter that directory and open VS Code. Because we like VS Code. Let me bring this here once. Mhm. Okay, VS Code's open. I think I can shut this for now. I see there is okay, that should be good enough. Zoom in. I see there's That's just the C sharp extension asking me to add assets to build and debug. I'm gonna say yes because that extension actually does help. So that's just the basic C sharp, .NET 5 console app structure. I'm gonna run a hello world to see if everything's working all right. Okay. So that's just a command that kind of runs a .NET application. I'm just seeing and testing, you know. Yeah, hello world works. Looking at the chatter. Okay, yeah, I believe for .NET's inbuilt sorting function, it does use quick sort. Good. So, when we start, I'm just gonna when we start talking about sorting concepts, I'll tell you what. Let me do in the chat. Do we want to start with the inbuilt function, or should I start creating my own sorting function? And I'm gonna start with arrays because that just makes life a little simple. Helps us understand where what's convenient. We can look at choices around quicksort. It's a great sorting algorithm, but considering we want to keep this a little more beginner friendly, since there are people who might not have worked with sorting algorithms, this is the way to go. And I see there are points around there's messages around submissions. Please feel free to message on the MLH Discord server about that once. That should be the best resource that is available. That we've got the team there, we've got folks active, so should help. Ashin mentions the desktop is too clean. Yeah. Okay, never mind. All right, so I'll tell you what. I'm just gonna go ahead and you know we'll start with we'll start creating these sorting algorithms on our own. We'll start writing bubble sort, that sort of thing, instead of kind of just jumping to you to something like, well, so just using the inbuilt function. So I'm gonna remove this console output for now, and I'm gonna create a little integer array for us. Okay, I'm just gonna call this ARR, and I'm gonna start by just creating some values already. Is why not, right? I've just like created a little array for myself because I mean, taking console input in a language of your preference, that's not the focus on this one. So we don't have to worry too much about that. We're gonna sort this array. Okay, we're gonna use two different methods. I'm gonna discuss those, and we're gonna use those to sort this array. So when we talk about sorting an array, and we talk about bubble sort, as I mentioned, since that is the first method I'm going to be going ahead with. The bubble sort method. Uh, we have folks adding inputs from the chat, Kanak. That's what I was kind of going to go into, just to talk about why we need this method, why sorting helps, and how bubble sort works. That's what I was going to discuss. So thanks a lot for that point, though. So when we talk about bubble sort, it's just one more sorting method, a rather simple one to understand, a simple one to work with. All right. I won't say it's the most efficient, but from an understanding point, since we're kind of learning and trying to take these from the very first point of time, it's probably the first experience for some of us at least. We're gonna keep it a little simple. Now, the need for sorting is that there are times where you might have unstructured sets of information that you want to reorder in a more logical manner, right? There are scenarios where you might just have a random stream of information coming in, and you want to change that. You want to make sure that you have your information in an order that you want. So that's where sorting techniques help us. They allow us to structure and save data in a format that we want it to be kept within. It gives some form of an order to your information. All right. So bubble sort is a technique. What it does is it goes through our rows one by one. It goes through the entire array once, swaps the you know adjacent elements. It checks whether and adjacent elements are, well, larger. If the next element is large, whatever comparator. In this case, okay, let's just set the order as ascending order, right? If we're in ascending order, then what it does is it checks if the next piece kind of matches this comparison that we've set. That is, the one on at the start should be smaller than the one after it. So it checks for that comparison. If that is correct, it moves from the first one to the second, and then it checks the next one, right? If that is not the case, and if in the next case the first one is larger than the second one, like for example in 5 and 3, it's going to swap those. So it checks adjacent elements to see whether the comparison that you've set is all right, and if that is the case, then you keep moving forward. And what it does is it reiterates through the array multiple times to ensure that you know at the end the array is going to be sorted. So if I take an example, let me take an example here, and I'm just taking this here in these comments because I'm going to delete this later. So if suppose we have an array that is 1 2 1 4 2 3, okay. So what bubble sort will do is in the first check it will see if 1 and 4 are, we'll just leave this as 1 4 2 3 1, just keeping it a little longer. It'll check if these two are first in order. If this is an order, then it'll leave 1 as it is. Then it checks between 4 and 2. If those two are not in order, it will set 2 here and shift 4 on this side. Then it'll check 4 and 3. It'll see if both of those are in order. If they aren't, it'll, again, we'll have 3 here and we put 4 on the right side. Then I'll check 4 and 1, since that's the last one. And since that 1 is also at again smaller than 4, it'll put 1 on the left and say 4, because that's the end of the array. So with each iteration, what we will see is that the largest value comes at the end. Now when the second run of this goes, it will remove this one from the check, this method. We will only check within this one, this much. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna check 1, 2 is all right. 2, 3 is all right, but 3 and 1 isn't, right? So we will swap 1 and 3, and 4 is left as is. So in the second, we see the largest two have been shifted here to the end. In the third iteration, we will go through these three instead. Now, since these are the three left, we will look at, well, 1 2 is seems all right, but 2 1 isn't. So we will put 1 and we'll swap 1 and 2. 2 is at the end of the checked array, and then 3 and 4. Now the ones that are left are these two, right? These are already in order. So we get the array, and at the end, the entire array is sorted, right? So that's how this works. It swaps adjacent elements, and that's what we're going to be implementing here. So when we go about implementing this method, let me do one more thing. I am going to create another variable just to make tracking length a little easier for us. And we're going to call that, it's just going to be, yeah, that we're just getting back the length of the array. Okay. On this front, we're just getting back the length of the array. So when we go about implementing this method, The first pass we do is we start with any, we just keep our iterator, in this case is I. We go till length minus 1 because we see iterators from 0, right? So an array of length 5 will have a range of 0 to 4. So that's why we're keeping length minus 1. And we're going to increment I by 1 every single time. We're going to keep a second loop inside because we want to iterate this um, through the rest of these points and compare them with one here, So we're going to iterate through. Actually, no, sorry, my bad. Yeah, we need to check if we want to check if, well, this rest of the array here, that's all present. So we're gonna go ahead, create another one. This one actually is gonna start from 0 as well. I'm kind of mixing up my concepts. My bad. What this array does is we we run this from here as well, but the size that this goes to is length minus 1 minus I. The reason for that is that this here is gonna scroll through the, I was kind of mixing concepts. This inner loop, what it's gonna do is it's gonna iterate through the entire row, but every single time we pass through this array, this row once, it will remove one single of the very next time, which is what I does. So in the first go, I does not remove anything, right? So we go through the entire array. But the second time I increments, we're gonna remove this one, and the third time we remove both of those because I is incrementing. So that's what I does for us, and J is the one that kind of goes through the entire array. Mm. Now the comparison that we want is of course with between one single, um, you know, a single value and the next one ahead of it, right? Those are the two we want to compare. So we're gonna go ahead and check for those. Our array is ARR. So if the value, you know, if the value at the position j in the array, which is effectively what the syntax does, if this value is more than the next, since I mentioned we're checking in ascending order, then what we do is we swap these two values. I'm gonna create a temporary variable here just to swap. Okay. This here is just swapping for us. That's all this piece of code is doing. So, we go ahead, we kind of swap this one. Right, we see what's happening here. It swaps in each single, for what this will do is this will run each iteration as I mentioned here. Okay. It's gonna run each of those iterations there, and then we move forward, essentially. And I forgot to run an increment. Just slip. So, as soon as we're kind of through with this should end up sorting our entire little, well, our array here. So I'll tell you what, I'm just gonna go ahead, create a separate function here just for printing the array because, well, why not? Just creating that for a second. Like void print array. This here just prints an int array. So this is gonna go ahead. All we're gonna do is we're kind of just gonna just go. All this will do is it'll just kind of go through the array and just print it with a comma in the middle of all of them. That's all this will do. All right. Yeah, that just does it with any sort of set of values. So this is gonna print an array for us. And what I'm gonna do is I'm kind of gonna go ahead and print at each iteration. I'm gonna do this for each iteration here that we have. So that you're able to understand what I was kind of talking about. I don't wanna write on a separate line. So we're just gonna write iteration. All this is gonna do is it's just gonna this is this C sharp syntax that I have. Because all I wanna do here is just make sure that we're able to get each single iteration of the array printed so that you can understand what is kind of going on in there. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and print the array at each iteration. And I'll tell you what, let's simplify. Let's keep this array the one that we've kind of used to discuss the concept so that this makes a little more sense. And if in case I've kind of gone wrong somewhere, it'll give me some semblance of an idea as well. So that's the bubble sort code that we've written. I hope this works. And we kind of have to print the final array as well. So I'm just gonna go ahead, copy this. I'm gonna write final array. And I'm adding a slash in because I just want an extra sort of um, line at the start as well. You can do the same at the beginning just because I want to get the initial array. That's so that our console output is a little more easy to understand. That's the only purpose I'm adding these. Let me go ahead. Let me run this for now, and after that, if need be, we'll just walk through this once again. So the program's running for us, and yeah, it seems like we kind of went exactly as I was talking about. So in this scenario, the initial array is printed. Then we see, well, our first iteration, which is exactly how I said it would go. We have our second iteration after that. Then, of course, there's our third and the fourth. So that's about how I expected that to go. So that's bubble sort for us. Every single time this iterates through the row, the our loop with j, it's gonna make sure that the adjacent values are checked just to see which is larger next to each other, and we keep cutting one from the end every single time. So we get the entire sorted row for us. I hope that was understood. If anyone has any doubts, you can message in as well. As far as okay, we're again getting points around the day 7 dev post. I did not see that on the local active build page either, and when I tried to check, I don't think that is present. So if you want to ask about that, you can probably send a message on Discord in the server. That's gonna be the best place to check. At the moment, I don't have a link to share. Do we have any doubts on this point? Because I think our concept kind of works as hoped for. I'm just adding an extra console right line here just because I want to, just add an extra line in there. Okay, Nish mentions that there seems to be a day 7 ring present on the challenges page. Let me see if I can hop over and find that for us. Just give me a second. I'm gonna check that now. I don't think there is a submission challenge here for. Yeah, I actually don't think we have a submission challenge for this specific session, because I can't seem to find one there. That might just be on me though. If someone else sees a challenge, please let me know, but I don't think I see a challenge for this session. There is a form for day 6 there that I saw, but I don't have one. I don't have a link for day 7 at the moment. I can see links here for day 6, but okay, there's a common one for day 6 and 7. Okay, my bad on that. Let me see if there is a submission for this. There isn't. So this session we were not actually submitting on dev post, and neither are we doing that on the form. No, we don't have a submission for this challenge. You can find the general links on the challenge page. The day 6 link that you see there is actually common for 6 and 7, but this specific challenge does not have its own submission on dev post or the form. All right. Just gonna clear this once and see if just checking if the formatting is coming as I hoped for, and that doesn't seem. I might have just not saved it. Just checking if the formatting is right. Yeah, that works. So as I explained, what we went through this once, this entire bubble sort concept. Let me know if anyone has any queries on this. Otherwise, I can kind of go ahead and talk a little about selection sort as well. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna keep this here only. Is this good? Folks, just let me know in the chat once, please. If you were able to understand what we're trying to achieve here. It's good to have a lot of folks interested in submitting and trying to create, and just go ahead and share for us. Just add their submissions. Always nice to see that. Since I don't see anyone mentioning that they haven't understood, I'm gonna assume that we're all good to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Just that. Okay. Thanks, Kanak. That's the affirmation I needed. So I'm gonna go ahead and quickly just comment this entire piece out. Okay. Because I mean, the start is going to remain the same and the end is going to remain the same. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Okay. So next up, we want to discuss selection sort, right? All right. It's okay. Even if you're late, not a big issue. Now, selection sort works in a slightly different way. In this case, what we do is with selection sort, we find the smallest value in the array and we shift it towards the start. In bubble sort, what was happening at every iteration, because of the swaps, we were going to the end, right? So in selection sort, we're going to go to the start. I see there's a member who's late. So for now, we've kind of gone ahead and talked a little about how bubble sort works. You can check the recording later if you'd like. The recording is going to be available on Twitch, I guess, for a while as well. And anyway, it's there on YouTube. I can send in the link if you would like. So you can check it out later whenever you want to. Okay. I've sent in the YouTube link there, so you can find it whenever you want. That's just about bubble sort. Next up, we're going to cover another sorting method, that is selection sort. So what selection sort, with selection sort, instead of kind of swapping again and again to get till the end, what we do is we look for the smallest element throughout, and we bring that to the start. So instead of just tracking the value, what we look for is the index of the of the lowest value. So if suppose we were using the same array 1 4 2 3 1, what we would do is we would first start from, well, 4 2 3 1. We're gonna keep one at the side, and we're gonna go through the rest of the array. Okay. So we're gonna go through 4 2 3 1, find the smallest value, as compared to this, as compared to where I hand stands. If there is a value that is smaller than this, we swap the value. So far, 1 is the smallest value, right? So we leave that as is. Next up, we send I here to 4. I mean, since in the first iteration that was the smallest value, we'll just kind of copy this over. In the second iteration, that first one is fixed. We're at 4, and we're gonna check through the rest of the array. So we check through 2 3 1. 1 is the smallest value, and 1 is smaller than 4. So what we do is we swap 1 and 4. So the array becomes 2 3 4. And in this case, we've kind of just sorted it out very quickly, but it does go through the rest of the array as well. So if suppose the values were kind of different, like if we had another 2 or something in there, we would have gone through the rest of the array as well. But like for now, it's just kind of quickly sorted it. Either way, what it does is we're gonna go to 2 and check in 3 and 4 and so on. So that's effectively the logic we go by. So let me go ahead and implement that for us now. We're gonna start again our outer loop. I just conventional, and I run, of course, till the end, right? Till through all the different characters that we have. I'm gonna remove these spaces just for consistency's sake, since that's how gone about this format. And we're gonna go ahead with I plus plus. This is gonna take us through just checking that first value. Now the second, the checks, as I said, are gonna run through here, right? Through the inner. So the first one just remains as is, and the second is where all the checking happens. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna create a second loop, and what this is gonna do is it's gonna run from after I. This also runs till the end. Since in this case the value keeps going to the start, so we keep moving the start forward instead of cutting at the end. No, that was supposed to be J plus plus, not I. Of course, either way, we kind of want to make sure that we're able to store what the lowest value is, right? Is the screen code not visible? Let me zoom in a little further. I hope this is better. I can't zoom in any further than this, otherwise it'll just be difficult to work with code as well. But I hope this is legible for everyone. Okay, so we're gonna keep a value for minimum index. Just where we want to store the index of the lowest value that we have, and we're gonna keep that as I, which is the starting value, of course. So every single time, what we're gonna do is we're gonna check if the value in front that we have, that is ERR G, it's essentially just the value in the front. If it's smaller than the lowest value that we want to keep, if that is the case, then all we do is we save the value of j as minimum. Okay. And at the end, whatever value of j we have, if I'm gonna add an if here, we can, because if it's the exact same value, then we don't want to repeat swaps. But if I isn't equal to min, that is, if the value of min has changed, if there is a smaller element, then we're gonna swap those. Hmm, I I equal to here. The reason I've added this little if is because if we do have the smallest value at the start, then we don't need to unnecessarily go through the swapping process. So that's the only reason I've kind of added that if. Okay. Is equal to temp. That should keep swapping our array for us. And I'm just going to copy over this little line, which is going to print every single iteration for us, just to understand if our code has worked. So just scrolling out so that you can look at what we've done, entire thing. We've in every single iteration, we've kept this first value at the start and gone through the rest to find the smallest value among these and bring that over. Bring that over. So let me run this and we'll see if this was correct. Wait, did it not save? Yeah, we didn't save. Sorry about that. I'm just going to clear this once again and we're going to run. And it seems like, yeah, that worked. Oh, 1 second. Wait, there seems to be a little issue. It did not check the final. Interesting. Oh, 1 second. Since we didn't have a j+1, I was just kind of rejecting the final value. Sorry, my bad. That's a little mistake on my part. We're anyway going less than length. We had to go. Yeah. So it was effectively checking till one value before. That's my bad. Totally my bad. I'm gonna go ahead, save this, and we're gonna just clear it off and run. Yeah. As you see, it brought the first value here at the start, and the second time it was just the same. But if suppose I change this array now to add a 5 here, maybe for example, right? You should see the same logic being implemented there. And I forgot to change to save the changes. Yep. So in this case as well, what we see is that we saw one being brought at the start, the second one checked for 2, the third one at this position it set 3, and then we went through the entire, bringing the right value at the right spot. Yeah, thanks for that, Kanak. I just noticed that, so we got through that. So selection sort works, which is great. Awesome. I'm gonna do something interesting. We talked about these methods that we can have. Some of these languages have their own cool intricacies that I kind of want to show off as well, a little. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do some C sharp magic after this. Just show what sort of stuff you can do in C sharp. Why, how it makes life easier. Let me go ahead to this. I'm gonna leave that big array those big values as they are, and I'm gonna comment this stuff out. So a few very cool things about C sharp arrays, and you know they've got their inbuilt functionalities as well, right? And I believe we should have inbuilt functionalities here as well. Mhm. So let me go ahead. Let me see if we can just sort this array in a second for us. I'm just gonna write inbuilt, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna sort it as just as it is in its state. And we're gonna see if it gives us the right result as well. So we'll get a print of, and we'll see if it's 1 1 2 3 4 5, if that's the array we're getting back. Because it's cool to write all of these, but these aren't the most efficient methods, and there are more efficient methods around, of course. But sometimes you kind of just want to go ahead and get through this a little quickly. So this one, this little function, it will sort the entire array in an ascending order. So I'm gonna go ahead and make sure I save this first, and we'll clear and run. Let's see if this gets the job done for us. Seems like it does. We have the initial array and we have the final array. That's convenient, right? Now I'm gonna take a second and I'm gonna move away from arrays as well, because we've got lists around in C sharp, and there's some really fun stuff that you can do in C sharp that is worth checking out. So I want to make sure that we kind of touch on lists in C sharp, because lists in C sharp are really powerful, and C sharp has this amazing little thing called language integrated queries that I want to show off here, and show how you can actually work with lists in C sharp and make sure that you can actually sort lists there as well. So I'm kind of going to be showing off a little bit of some C sharp magic here. Other languages might have similar sort of functionalities. So yeah, you can find similar stuff around. That's not an issue, but I just want to make sure that I can showcase this feature that I find really cool. I'm gonna go ahead, create a list for us, and I see it's not uh, you know it's red mark, so we actually don't have the right reference to the right package for this. Fortunately, Visual Studio Code makes my life easy, so I can just call over the collections package for C sharp in a second. We're gonna go ahead. We're gonna create a new list for ourselves. Okay. And I'm gonna keep that as an int32 type, which is your regular int in Java. Int16 would have been a short list, and int64 would have been the equivalent of long. Okay. And we can initialize. I'm just gonna go quickly, and I'm gonna give it a few values. Okay. I've just quickly given this a few values here, and I am not sure why. Uh, oh, I guess I have to kind of initialize this first and just go properly. I'm mixing up a few different formats here. It's all right. I'm just gonna go ahead and add. Let me check what format does add range take. Okay. So it seems like add range would just take any sort of collection. So I'm just gonna add the entire initial array there once. Okay. In which case I am going to comment out these final parts of sorting the array as well. Just gonna go ahead and add this entire range. So I'm gonna make sure and check and see if it's kind of doing that. This will just make my life a little easier later on. So it's not something you need to worry too much about. I'm just checking if we're getting the if we're getting the right sort of range. And let me actually go ahead and print this list as well, because I want to make sure that I'm actually able to print the list. So I'm gonna add that function here for us. Let me just see if we're able to print the list. And if we're actually getting the right list, that is. So this should take a second. There's a lot of commenting out I'm doing. Very sorry about that. Um, but yeah. Anyway, I want to make sure that we're getting the right values around. List R. Where have I? Oops, that's a little error on my end. My bad. Sorry. Okay, yeah, we're getting the list in the right manner. Sure. That's sorted. So lists now have some, with C sharp, we've got this really cool thing called language integrated queries, which actually lets me add queries on languages. So if I share a little explanation of what LinkU is, it's basically it integrates query capabilities directly into C sharp. And the benefit of LinkU is that I can actually work with lists in a similar fashion as I would with something like SQL, for example. So I can get the same sort of capabilities, which actually makes life very convenient, especially when I'm working with databases. Okay. So I can, you know, get different I can get different information from lists in C sharp. And if I talk about sorting a list here, as I've kept this one, I can go ahead and do that using LinkU. So let me go ahead, create another list here for us, that is, and I'm going to just name this as sorted. And I'm going to go ahead and list order. Wait, no, that wasn't supposed to be an equal to. By, and I realized that I didn't have the link to functions on. Now that I have this, for example, you will see there's a whole new set of functionalities I have, which allow me to convert. There's a lot of new functions. There's equality, distinct values. I can get I can get the first value out of this. These are similar to what you would have. And it gives me a lot of capabilities. It adds substantially to well capabilities of C sharp here. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna, or set an order to this. Now for this, I need to make sure that I have some sort of value mentioned. I'm able to specify what value I kind of want this ordered by, because this is mainly made for objects, but I think it might not make too much sense here. Because in this case, if I think about it, the order functionality might not actually, that might not work at all. Give me a second. I'm gonna check and see what the best methodology here is, because in this case, we might just have a sort function. Oh, we had a sort function already for lists. Totally my bad. Yeah. We already had a sort functionality. That's why I was kind of messing it up. I thought we've got that in thank you, but um, what this would allow us to do actually is, if suppose I had a list of objects instead of a list of single values, it would allow me to sort that, which is then in that case, that's something I can showcase here. We can have a little object and I can showcase that. So I'm gonna do that. That's actually something we can try out. Let me go ahead and see, if we kind of got this list sorted. Clear this up. And I'm just gonna keep these print lists as they are. Um, not worry too much about them, because we'll just see both the sorted lists there anyway. So that should be good enough. Yeah, the lists are getting sorted. The sort function for lists is present. Let me see if we can actually sort a list of objects in this case, which will probably allow me to showcase what the order by functionality lets us do. Give me a minute. I'm gonna just create a little class here for us outside. This one we're gonna, we're at the class level. We're just gonna call it obj. We're gonna let this have a, an ID, and we'll let this have a string name. Okay. I'm just going to give this as an example of an object, because what I was trying to showcase would make sense for objects, since it starts treating these as columns of a table. That's what we're able to do with LinkU. So that wouldn't have made sense, is what I just realized. So this one would have made sense for list of integers. We're now going to try sorting a list of objects. I'm going to create a new list, and this is going to be of the type obj, which is an object we just created, right? I'm just going to mention new list and close that off. We're going to add a few value to this. Just, add new object. Let me also add a constructor to this. ID, comma, string name. And name should save. So I'm just gonna add a few temporary sort of values. We can just add my name, and let's see if we can pick a few names of people here in the chat. I'm just gonna copy this over. I'm gonna give this a very random order. 6, 2, 0. We're just gonna keep this list, and I'm gonna pick up folks here from the chat. So I see Kanak there. We have, I think that's Psyche. I am not sure, but I'm just gonna keep that over. We have Neostar. And we have Snorlax. I'm just gonna keep these. Okay. I'm gonna comment this list out because I'm gonna change this format here to print a list of objects. I actually know this format wouldn't work, would make sense, right? Let me see what the best way to kind of go ahead and print this would be. I'm gonna have a separate entire thing for each of these. I'm just gonna save that as obj. We're gonna mention that as list of objects, and I can't even for each in this. Let me see what the best way to, print a list of objects would be. Okay, I think we can just go ahead and let me see. I'm just gonna check what this input's gonna bring for me. Okay. I want to make sure that we're not getting some really weird values here. So please bear with me while I do that. I'm gonna comment this entire thing out as well. There's a lot of commenting we've done today. That's for sure. But yeah, let me just go ahead and see what printing this will give us, because I want to make sure that we're not getting a very random set of values. So if I go ahead and we run and print this, okay, that's exactly what my value was. Let me see if string.join works for this. I have no idea for sure though. Okay, it seems like this should be treated all right. So let me clear this and I'm gonna run it here, and we'll see what sort of response we get. Actually, if I think about it, I can just, I already know what values we have, right? The reason I add this format here is because with the way C# is treated, I don't want to convert that ID to a string. I'm just kind of, you can go both ways. So I think this should, yeah, with this we should be able to get the values. I'm gonna shift name to the right. So here, this should give us the entire list as it was. I'm just setting up the printer list. Yes, that works. So, that's the list we have. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna try and see if we can sort this little thing here. Right? So we already have this list, and so I'm kind of not gonna clear this. I'm just gonna work with what we have, and we're gonna set an order here where I'm gonna specify a function that we have. Oh yes, this should work. I believe this should work. So what this is gonna do is I've kind of said that the element that I wanna query and I wanna order by it's this by default will kind of sort it according to the key I've selected. So the reason I mentioned key is because this treats it like how you would treat a column in a table. So this should ideally sort these by the value of what ID is. So I'm gonna run this now and we'll hope that it works. And it did not work. I am not sure why. Mm, that should have happened. I feel it's because I might not have. I have to convert that back to a list as well. Yep. It should help. Let me see. Let me see now this time if it gives back a sorted list. And yes, it does. It sorted it based on the values. What I'd done is I just forgot. I'd not converted it back to a list. So, yeah, those are the different searching methods I had in mind that I wanted to showcase with C Sharp, do some fancy little stuff. We looked at sorting of arrays with bubble and selection sort. We tried out the inbuilt sort functionality. Then we looked at sorting of integers with the inbuilt function and sorting a list of objects. Lots of different things. I'll tell you what, we have a little bit of time. So why don't we check out sorting methods in a few other languages? Is there any language you want me to check right now, folks? If there is, please mention in the chat. And I'm going to show you how I go through my learning process to understand how things work. Just, how my hacking process, more than learning, my hacking process. We'll see if, different languages have inbuilt functionalities, that sort of thing. So, one language I know for sure I'm going to try out is JavaScript. So, if there's any other one you want to mention, please make sure to do that in the chat. And if there were any queries so far, that would also be great. Python. Okay. We can try. Akash is the question if I'm in India. Yes, I am in India right now. So JavaScript and Python are two that we have. Any other language? We have time for other languages right now. We can go through few different languages if you want. Or if anyone wants to come on screen and show if you've actually built a code to sort in another language or any algorithm you've used. Would anyone like to do that? If if you want to join me, please mention in the chat if you have some piece of code ready, and I would love to have you on as well. In the meantime, I can go ahead and I'll set up a JS compiler and a Python compiler quickly. That's a net speed thing. Yeesh, my bad. Get loaded. Perfect. Okay, so JavaScript and Python I have in mind. I can go ahead and let's do that. I'm just gonna create an ARR array Let me know if my syntax is incorrect. Okay, at any point. I'm not sure if there is a sort function, but let me go ahead and check. Build sort function. Okay, that is the one. Oh, I see. I was kind of going about the syntax wrong. Right, so that should give us the array in a sorted manner. Let me see if that works. Because I don't work with Python regularly by any means. I'm kind of just going on gut feeling, and that does. We are getting a sorted array. So sorting in Python is simple. Let me check and see, how to create and sort an array. Just create a JavaScript array because again, not languages that I work with. Sorted and dot sort. There is a separate sorted function. I have no. Let me look at that. Okay, all right. That's convenient with JavaScript. And let me see if there's a sort method. There is. I see there's a question around sorted and dot sort, and I'm genuinely not sure. But let me go ahead and search and find out. So the sorted function in Python returns a sorted list from an iterable object. I'm assuming this is not too far off. So the primary difference between those two is that sort will directly modify the list it is called on, whereas for sorted, it will create a new list containing a sorted version. So that's the primary difference. They are very similar, but sorted will return nothing for the okay, sorted will return a list, and dot sort just works on the original value. So with arr dot sort, it'll save the sorted array within arr itself, but for sorted, you need to have a separate, either you're saving, within arr, or you're keeping a separate variable there to save within. So let me go ahead. I want to try sorting in JavaScript now. Const const values equal to 1, 3, 5, 2, 7, 4. Sticking a random list here. 0. We're just gonna print values dot sort. Or I guess we'll keep this as a separate line. Ah, my bad. My bad. That's what's the which is great. Now, something interesting that I've been thinking of kind of doing for a while is I want to test between different values, different emojis, and see uh, how those sort. And apparently, I think JavaScript can sort those. So I'm gonna just try this on a few different emojis as well. Okay. So I'm gonna try that on the grin, the heart, that. I'm just gonna copy paste these later. So we're gonna try sorting a few different emojis in JavaScript now. Let's see if this actually works or if this gives us an error. Hmm. One second. Seem to be getting some. Yeah. Let me just go ahead and try it for these ones because I see there's some little minor issues coming within the browser because of some types all the time. Let me try sorting this list of emojis here. We'll try the hen and the egg as well. Ooh, apparently the heart goes first and the crane and these. Okay, those two are the same, effectively. But if suppose it is. Okay, I'm just gonna keep one person there. Interesting. So that's how these sort. I see there's a mention of the hen and the egg. We can definitely check that one out as well. So if suppose I have a hen and my next one is an egg. Let's see what the answer to this question is. Ooh, apparently the hen comes first. Let me see if I reverse it's just not messing around with me or anything. I hope it isn't messing around. Yeah, the hen came first. So now you know. According to JavaScript, the hen comes first. Uh, yeah, Nish, we were just having a little bit of fun there. It's not something you need to worry so much about. Is there any other language you want to try sorting in? Let's see if we have inbuilt functionalities in any other languages. Because I'm just saying, like, we can check languages that I have no idea about. Because why not? Or if someone else wants to come on to stream, we just check Python. We just tried the sort function in Python. But I'll tell you what, if someone wants to come on to stream to showcase whatever code they've done, we can do that. Nish, we tried the sort function in Python just before we came to JavaScript. Yeah, you can scroll back in the video on YouTube later maybe. Otherwise, if anyone has any queries, we can discuss those as well. Because I think if that's if we don't have a lot of other stuff happening, then that brings me pretty close to what I had in mind for this session. So, do we have any other queries? Anything you might want to showcase? Anything you might want to ask about? All right, then I guess I think we're generally good to go. So, yeah, this was definitely a great experience. I think this is the first time I've kind of talked about uh, any. I've really tried to showcase functionalities of any data structure on a stream. I think that way lists and C Sharp are fun, and I had a good time kind of talking about these. And yeah, Kanak mentioned this is the last workshop of Local Hack Day build. It's so quick, you know. We don't even realize how it passes this entire week. But I think it's been a fun week. We've had some great content, some amazing sessions by different coaches, by different sponsors. Like, we had some amazing sessions from Linode and all. There was great content throughout. And it's always made a lot more special by every single person who joins in, who chooses to come, build together, to have a little chat with us, engage. That's definitely my favorite part about any of these activities, just working and getting to know all of you. So, huge thank you to all of you for joining in, for hanging around, having fun with me and everyone else who came on to present during Local Hack Day. It's definitely a ton of fun. We absolutely love having you on, and we cannot wait to see you folks again, whether in some hackathon or another future Local Hack Day. So, once again, thank you so much, and hope you all have a great day and a great year ahead. See you all.